Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel. And welcome to a new playthrough of a new game in the Arkham Horror Files. An observant viewer may have noticed the same music and background from the Dream Eaters campaign on the intro for this video. The reason for that is while the campaign in the card game is over, we're going to have an epilogue of sorts today in a different game in the Arkham Horror Files. We're going to play Elder Sign today, which is the dice game in the Arkham Horror Files. If you've ever played Yahtzee, you'll basically get the same idea, where you're trying to match up dice to whatever's listed on the card. I'll go through more of that when we start to getting into those adventures. But we're also going to tie it to the Dream Eaters campaign I just wrapped. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that first in our choice of adversary, as our same team of investigators, after we get clear of one of the other ties in the game, is going to take on the ancient one that they didn't defeat in the card game campaign. They're going to take on Nyarlathotep, and I'll go through him more later. The second tie, well, let's have a little narrative text to try to set the scene. So let's go ahead and set the scene for the first part of this game. With the last of Attribution-ShareAlike's venom draining from them, Jenny Barnes and Ursula Downs set to the arduous task of trying to escape from Attribution-ShareAlike's realm. They had been trapped there by whatever controlled their ally, Randolph Carter. Now Attribution-ShareAlike had vanished into the aether, and not Randolph had similarly disappeared. The bridge wouldn't be completed thanks to their work, and now Arkham and the world would not be overrun by a spider army. However, as they ventured back above the sea of pitch, they were greeted by a familiar face. The black cat who had guided their moves, along with those of their allies Lola Hayes and Harvey Walters, waited for them. Upon recognizing the cat, Jenny drew up short. Intent on her steps and her fatigue, Ursula nearly walked into Jenny before Ursula was able to realize that Jenny had stopped and why. Ursula's heart sank, and she suspected Jenny's face had the same expression hers did. "We sent you to help Lola and Harvey," Ursula reminded the cat. The cat nodded in acknowledgement. "So you did," the black cat spoke in its nonchalant tone. Jenny shook her head, feeling her fatigue threaten to consume her. "If you're here," Jenny mused, "then that must mean..." The cat nodded. "They failed," the black cat replied matter-of-factly, as if expecting exactly that outcome. "Your world has been overrun by the forces of deception. They use your friends for their nefarious deeds, and they couldn't resist. They sent me to find you, though." Ursula started at that. "Why?" Ursula asked. "You never seem to want to help us." The black cat shook its head. "Their forces still threaten the Dreamlands," the cat answered, "but they still can be stopped. Everything starts with freeing your friends from his grasp." Fighting back her fatigue, Jenny started moving again, Ursula and the cat falling into step with her. "Whose grasp?" Jenny asked as the cat led them through the Dreamlands toward the cat city of Ulthar. "They say he has thousands of masks, maybe an infinite supply," the cat spoke cryptically. "Nyarlathotep, it is called by some. He is deceptive, manipulative, and cunning. You will need rest and supplies in Ulthar, and you will need my help to save your friends and our world from Nyarlathotep. You thought Attribution-ShareAlike was challenging? Wait until we get back to Arkham." That trip came 3 weeks later. In Ulthar, Jenny and Ursula recovered from all of their injuries inflicted in the final battle with Attribution-ShareAlike. They experienced the wonders of the Dreamlands for themselves and followed the events of Lola and Harvey's adventures. Compared to the tranquility of Ulthar, however, Arkham was a war zone. After getting accosted on nearly every street corner, Jenny and Ursula finally fought their way to Miskatonic Museum on the campus of Miskatonic University. In front of the museum, they saw their friends standing guard trying to destroy the museum. The cat shook its head. "They're under Nyarlathotep's control," the cat observed. "We'll have to knock their sense back into them." Tightening their hands around their weapons, Jenny and Ursula prepared to do exactly that. So as you heard, Lola and Harvey are under Nyarlathotep's control, and we have to free them. We're going to do that with the first of our thematic ties to Dream Eaters. Lola and Harvey are essentially going to act as monsters, with each having a unique battle task, and I'll show you that now. So the way we set this up is Harvey's going to require 7 research in 1 roll to clear his task. There we are. So we've got Harvey on this side. I've got a couple of tasks down here, a couple of adventures down here. These are just for reference. We're not going to worry about anything except that task on there for reference. So let me zoom in here so you can see it a little better. Other way. There we go. So the seven research in one roll is what we're going to be interested in for Harvey. For Lola, we are going to need one of each bad symbol. So that's a terror, then a peril, then a lore. And then if they fail, the investigators will lose 1 health and 1 sanity. The black cat is also going to help us, and to represent him, I've actually grabbed his card from the card game. We're not going to worry about the card itself. I'm more interested in being in the actual representation of the ally. So what we're going to do, and you'll see more of these in Elder Sign as the game progresses, he's going to act as an additional ally for us that we can call upon once per day. He'll either let us focus up to 2 dice or change 1. Now what it means to focus a die is, let's say I go through a roll here. I'll bring my dice tower into shot here. So we go through a roll, and say that's our result. Now if we fail a task, we have to discard a die, but after that, we actually are able to focus it on the investigator, or in this case, you can focus up to 2 dice on the black cat, which means you'll save that result, and you can use it at a later point during your roll for the turn. So that's how the cat's going to work. Or we can use the black cat to just change this roll outright to something we need. So that's how that'll work. But anyway, all right. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at Jenny and Ursula in Elder Sign, and we'll take a look at their starting possessions as well. Here's our first investigator, and the monster puncher on the waking side, as you recall, Jenny Barnes. So in Elder Sign, she starts off with 6 sanity and 4 health. Now, Elder Sign does come with tokens, but instead of using the tokens that actually came with the game, I've actually started using these player organizer trays. I really like them, just because they give me slots to put the cards as I gain them throughout the game. And I've got various space around here for stuff like clues and other things that might come up. So anyway, these are more designed for Eldritch Horror, which is another game that I'm going to play on the channel at some point. I just haven't figured out when yet. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Now, I've got Jenny's mini card in because, similar to what we did in the card game, we're going to use those to move around rather than trying to dig through the list of tokens and find the actual mini that comes with the game. So that's what the mini card is going to represent. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Jenny's special ability here is Trust Fund. At the start of her resolution phase, Jenny may discard 1 common item, 1 clue token or spell to add the yellow and red dice to her pool for free. So the way Elder Sign works is you start off with a normal pool. Let me grab them out here. You start off with a normal pool of 6 green dice. And I won't go through a die right now, but you'll start off with that pool of dice, and you use that to complete whatever task is on the adventure in question. In our case, 7 research to free Harvey, or 1 of each symbol to free Lola. The yellow and red dice are particularly important because they both give you a 4 lore option, or 4 research option on the die. Sorry, I knocked the camera. Additionally, the red die also gives you the option of a wild card. So you can use that to act as whatever you need it to in the course of a roll. So that is very handy. There's also white and black dice correlating with Bless and Curse. I'll explain how those work as we stumble upon them later in the game. But anyway, she also starts with a unique item and a spell. So a unique item is this icon right here. So yellow with like a pistol on it. And Jenny starts with research materials. After we rolled the dice, discard to change 1 die to its highest investigation result. So that could come in handy if we need a lot of investigation, like we're going to need right off the bat. And for her spell, Jenny has Enchant Weapon. So similar to what we can do with the black cat. Well, this is actually a little bit different from what we can do with the black cat. Basically what this is you use the spell, you focus a die to it, and then you can use it at any point later throughout the game. So basically, the difference between focusing a die and using a spell to secure it is if we focus the die, it gets released at the end of turn. Using a spell to secure a die means we essentially save it until we need it. So that's how the difference between the two. But that will do it for Jenny. Now let's go pay her partner, Ursula, a visit. Hello, Ursula. In Elder Sign, you start off with 4 sanity and 6 stamina, which once again are represented over here at the side. Your special ability is Trailblazer. Once per day, at the start of any investigator's turn, Ursula may look at the top 2 cards of the adventure deck. She then places 1 card on the bottom of the deck and the other back on top. So that's very useful when we need to manipulate the adventure deck later on, or any time in the course of the game, really. Anyway, she'll start off with a clue, a common item, and a unique item. Now, the way clues work in this game is you'll see them in various games. Clues are used in the card game to advance the act. In Elder Sign, you can use a clue to re-roll your dice, any number of dice. So, going back to our example from earlier, let me bring the dice tower into shot here. We'll put it over top of that. So say we go through our roll, and that's our result. We realize we can't use any of that, so we can then spend the clue to re-roll all of them, or if there's something in there that we want to keep, we spend the clue, we can keep whatever we want to keep and then re-roll everything else. So that's how that works with clues. Anyway, now let's take a look at her items. First, her common item. Ursula starts with a 45 automatic, which gives her the yellow die for free. So that'll be very handy. And then for her unique item, come on, get back, there we go. For her unique item, Ursula starts off with the Prism of Vision. After a roll, discard to change a die to its highest investigation result. You may use this item on any investigator's turn. So that could come in very handy, and I did forget to mention that you can tell a unique item by it being red and having a glowing sword on the back of it. So that's how those decks work. But now, let's actually move up top, and we'll go through our adversary real quick in Elder Sign. Here's our adversary for today, Nyarlathotep, 1,000 Masks. Now just to go through the card real quick. The symbols here represent the battle task. That's what we'll have to roll if we end up having to fight Nyarlathotep at the end of the game. So we'll need to roll 2 terror on one roll to be able to do damage to him. But as many times as we can clear that, we can hit him for that. So that's how that works. And each ancient one has something that does something different with each game. So in Nyarlathotep, we have 1,000 masks. During setup, add the mask monster markers to the monster cup, which I've already done that. The number in here represents the number of elder signs we need to get. So our goal is to get that number of elder signs before the ancient one wakes up, or be able to defeat him after he wakes up in case we don't. But the way we get elder signs is we'll go through the adventures and be trying to get elder signs that way. So that's how that works. Then there's the attack, which is how he will attack during the battle with the Ancient One. In this case, when Nyarlathotep attacks, each investigator must either discard 1 clue token or be devoured. Being devoured basically just means you're eliminated. Obviously, it's nothing good, so we want to avoid that if possible. Now, the different symbols up here, those are the doom markers. So we have 9 symbols on here, which means he awakens at 9 doom. Each symbol represents something different. So what looks like a monster symbol, just like it sounds, we spawn a monster on one of the adventures on the board. And then the regular cultist here just means a doom. It doesn't do anything else. So that's all about Nyarlathotep. But that will do it for the start of game details. Now let's move back up top. We'll get to the first Mythos card, and then we'll get this show on the road. Alright, we're back up top, just about ready to start. Real quick though, I'll just pull this up as an example. So if we look at the bottom here, this is one of the adventure cards that we have. This is actually the adventure card I'm using for reference for Lola. That elder sign symbol right there is what we're looking for on these rewards. whether it be from adventures in the museum or from the other worlds. So that's just so you know what we're looking for. But anyway, that will do it for a quick little demonstration. Let me give this a shuffle up. This is our Mythos deck. Give that a shuffle. I still remember my first time trying to do this in front of the camera. It took me a little bit of getting used to, but I think now I feel like I'm pretty much used to it. So we'll give that another quick shuffle. And a cut. And let's see what we're up against to start the game. Alright, our first Mythos card. Oh, geez. Uh-oh. The time is right. Add 2 Doom tokens to the Doom track for knowledge. The next time the clock strikes midnight, each investigator without a clue token gains a clue token. So, we're going to go ahead. Right now I'm not going to worry about spawning monsters because this is kind of like a prologue to the game. So we're going to put 2 Doom up. And then we have to keep an eye out that next time we hit midnight, and I'll go through that more when we get into the clock phase, but each investigator without a clue token gains a clue token. So that's how that'll work. Now we bring the clock in, and we're at midnight. So we'll go ahead and go into our movement phase first. We'll go into Jenny's turn first. So her movement phase, I'm actually going to bring her down to try to free Lola. So at the start of her resolution phase, I'm actually going to pitch these research materials to give her the red and yellow dice for free, because the reason I'm using her trust fund so early is because I'm looking for one of each symbol, and I've got a 1 in 6 chance of being able to roll them. So I don't want to take a chance this early in the game. So I'm going to go ahead, I put my 6 green dice in the cup. I'm going to add the red and yellow dice. Bring the dice tray in shot. See if we can zoom in just a touch on that. Actually, I want to keep there we go. That should be move that camera down just a hair. Actually, we'll do it like this. And I'll zoom in a little further. So Jenny is down here trying to free Lola. And remember, we need one of each bad symbol. Okay, so that's unfortunate. But so that's the way this works, is we're going to have to discard a die. We'll take that out. And then I'm actually going to focus the lore, or the lore on Jenny. I'm not going to use the black cat just yet, even though we got 2 of the dice we need in the first roll there. I'm tempting to use the cat right away, but I'm not going to. And it turns out we don't need to. So we take the die we focused from Jenny, the lore. We take this terror, and then we have a wild card in here which actually acts as our peril, and we've completed that monster task, so now Lola's been freed. Alright, so I can take that reference task away. That will get shuffled into the deck. And then we'll bring our clock in and advance to 3 o'clock. So the way this is going to work is after the next Mythos phase, so we're going to go through, so for this first round we're going to go Jenny, Ursula, have another Mythos card, and then Lola will be able to join us, assuming we don't free Harvey right now, which is actually exactly what Ursula is going to try to do. And we're not going to use anything for her to give her the dice, to give her any extra dice that we need. So we'll just take our... So once again, we'll just take our 6 green dice, throw them in the cup, and now we need 7 research to free Harvey. Alright, so we got 3 research there. That's unfortunate. So I'll pitch this. I'm not going to focus yet. Well, I was going to say I probably could have focused the 2, but I'm just going to hold on that for the time being. I really don't want to use 2 items right away this early in the game, but I might have to. So I'll pitch another die, then focus the 2 there, just so I know I've got 2 research in the bank. That'll work. So there's our 3. So there's the 2 from Ursula, 3 that we just rolled, and the 2 for a total of 7 research, and now we've freed Harvey. So I'll go ahead and get these out of the way. We'll move Ursula out. We'll turn the clock to 6 o'clock. And then while those 3 hours are passing in-game, let's go ahead and have a little more narrative text to set the scene. To set further scene. After a long battle, Jenny and Ursula were finally able to subdue their dreaming allies. Lola and Harvey definitely looked groggy coming out of their haze, but there was no time to celebrate. "So you freed them," a taunting voice hissed. "No matter. You cannot stop me now. I will have your world and everyone in it." With that, the presents drew further into the museum, daring the small group to follow. "You will never succeed, Nyarlathotep," the Black Cat yelled out. Jenny and Ursula shared the supplies they gathered in Ulthar with Lola and Harvey. With that done, the group steeled themselves before following Nyarlathotep into the museum. So part 1 is a success. Lola and Harvey have joined the party, so let's move back down to the investigator boards and go through them. Here's our first look at Lola Hayes' an Elder Sign. She starts with 6 sanity and 4 health. She's the actress. Once again, you can see a slightly different art. So this is the 2nd edition art. This is also the same art she has in Arkham 2nd edition, but I'm going to use her mini card from the card game to move her around the board just because I like it serving as an activation token as well. So Lola. Lola has improv. Once per turn, Lola may discard 1 skill to gain 1 skill from either the top or the bottom of the deck. Lola may look at the bottom card of the skill deck at any time. And she starts off with a common item and a skill. So we'll take a look at the skill first. Skill. The skill is a blue card with a graduation hat and books on it, so that's how you'll be able to tell that. Her starting skill is medical training. Once per turn, you may cause during your turn, you may cause another investigator to regain 1 stamina. Discard during any investigator's turn to cause him to regain 1 stamina. This might be something we hold on to, actually. Admittedly, when I play Elder Sign, skills aren't usually anything I do too much with, so it might be nice to get a chance to see how some of these work. But the common item she starts with is whiskey. Discard this card instead of losing 1 sanity. So we can use that. So we can use that if we get penalized on an adventure because we fail it. We can use that to stop a sanity loss, which might come in handy. But that will do it for Lola. Now let's move over and meet Harvey. Here's Harvey Walters. He starts off with 7 sanity, 3 stamina. You can once again we're using his mini card as his activation token. His special ability is Strong Mind. Once per roll during his turn, Harvey may change 1 die showing a terror result to a lore result. He starts off with a spell and a unique item. So let's take a look at his spell first. I don't think I mentioned that his spell is a purple card with an open book on it. Harvey's starting spell is Greater Banishment. Before rolling, discard to discard up to 3 monsters in play, returning them to the Monster Cup. Depending how out of control the board gets, we might need that later. Especially with all the mask monsters that are likely to be bad news. And then his unique item that he starts with Hermetic Text. After a roll, discard to change a die to a lore result. You may use this item on any investigator's turn. Well, it's probably not that good for him to use on himself, just because he can already change terrors to lures, but that lets us change anything, so that might be worth keeping an eye on. But anyway, that will do it for Lola and Harvey. Now that they're set up, I'll set the game up proper, and then we'll get going. Alright, we're back up. The game's all ready to go, but I do want to talk about the entrance first. So this is where the investigators are going to start their turn. In fact, I'm going to, unless they fail a task, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and flip Lola and Harvey over, just so I know I'm not using them yet. But there's a lot you can do at the entrance. So there is the option to wait at the entrance for the turn, but that's your entire turn. You can receive treatment over here. You can heal either a sanity or stamina for free. Pay 2 to regain either, pay 4 to regain both. Search the lost and found, which is basically roll a green die. On any research, you lose either a sanity or stamina. A lore gets you a clue token, a peril gets you a common item, and a terror gets you a spell. Or you can buy something for your trophies. So one trophy gets you a clue, 2 gets you a common item, 3 gets you a unique item, 4 gets you a spell, 5 gets you an ally, and 10 gets you an elder sign. Remember, we need elder signs to seal the Ancient One away. In this case, we need 11 in order to seal Nyarlathotep away. So, if we hit a hot streak, that might be something worth considering. But, once again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Now let's move back up top. We'll take a look at what the museum looks like, and then we'll continue on with this round. Here's what the museum proper looks like. We'll go ahead and reveal these adventures. So first up we have Balancing Mind and Body. It's got a trophy value of 2. I'll go through the flavor text when we actually get there. Looks like we need a lore and a peril in one roll. Actually, we need lore and peril in one rolls for both tasks. Now the terror effect, you remember those rolls earlier where we had terror effects and we failed? They didn't do anything for those tasks. But here, you would lose a sanity if you roll a terror and you're not able to clear one of these tasks. Now, if you fail the task, you lose a stamina. If you succeed, you gain a common item and a spell. So that's how that'll work. Next adventure we have up. The Graveyard, trophy of 1. Ugh. Okay, this is another terror. Discard all dice showing terror effects. So if we roll a terror result and we can't clear a task, we have to discard all terror results and then discard a die on top of that. So that's a really bad one to hit. We need a peril, a terror, and 7 research. If you fail, you lose a sanity. If you succeed, you get a clue token, a unique item, and you put an Otherworld adventure into play. Otherworld adventures are mostly going to be where the Elder Signs are found that we need. So sending somebody to that graveyard might be very tempting right away. Up on the roof, I think we have both the example tasks that I was using for Lola and Harvey earlier. Trophy value of 2. Entry, so this is before you start rolling dice on this task. If there is no monster on this adventure, place 1 monster on the monster task below. So I've got the bag all ready to go. So we need whatever the monster is, and then 1 of each bad symbol. So terror, peril, lore. If you fail, you lose 1 health and 1 sanity. If you succeed, you get a spell token. You retreat doom by 1. That's what that symbol means. You get an elder sign, and you spawn a monster. Which sometimes monsters can be a good thing. Not usually, but they can be. Next up, the Hedge Maze, trophy value of 2. At midnight, so this is going to be something to keep an eye on. So when the clock reaches midnight, these at midnight effects go off. And in this case, at midnight, each investigator loses 1 stamina. And if you saw our team is a little stamina light, so I think trying to clear this one is not going to be a bad idea. So we need 2 research and a peril, and then 2 perils in 1 roll. So if we fail, we lose a health. If we succeed, we spawn a monster, get a unique item, common item, and an elder sign. Like I said, I may go deal with that right away, but let's see what the other 2 adventures are. Alright, the missing records with a trophy value of 1, 6 research in 1, then a lore and 3 research. If you fail, you lose a sanity. Succeed gets you 2 clues. So far, I haven't seen anything that's not going to make me make a beeline for the Hedge Maze. You become that which you fear most. Trophy value of 2. At midnight, a monster appears. You lose a sanity if you fail. If you succeed, you spawn a monster, a clue, you get a clue, a unique item, and an elder sign. But you need 3 terrors. So, yeah. I think I know which 2 I want to clear first. I'm almost tempted to try to clear those at midnights first. The question is, which one do I want to go for first? I think we're probably going to go ahead at 6. It's 6 o'clock right now, so we've got some time to play with. I think I'm going to bring Jenny down to the Hedge Maze, actually. So we'll bring her down here, and then we'll zoom in on the Hedge Maze. Here's Jenny. This might be worth a call to the Black Cat, but we'll see how the roll progresses. So I'll bring the Dice Tower in shot. I'm not going to use her Trust Fund because this is theoretically a 4-dice adventure, so I shouldn't need it. So anyway, we've got our starting pool of 6 green dice. And plus, I might need that spell for something else later, so I'm going to try to sit on that if I can. Alright, so we do roll a 2, we roll our 2 research and a peril. So I'll put that here. So that task is done, which means we don't have to clear a die, or don't have to discard a die. So these 4 are going back in to continue the adventure. Okay, so we'll discard a 2, and then we'll focus the skull on Jenny. So we have 2 shots, so we have 2 more shots to get a single peril. Nope, we lose that. And then this may be what we call the Black Cat for help. Yep, so we are going to go ahead and call in the Black Cat. So we're going to put this on him and then focus, and then change it to a skull, which means we've completed the task. So that gives Jenny a unique item. Gate box. Discard to draw 1 Otherworld card and place it below the 6 adventure cards. That is very welcome. Just because we're going to need more of those. Alright, so while I'm doing that, let me grab these out. And I'll get that, and we'll give that to Lola. Alright, so you probably, as you've overheard my musing, you probably guessed what I'm grabbing. So I'm actually grabbing spin downs to track the number of trophies. We've given Jenny her unique item. We'll give her common item next. She gets a Molotov cocktail, which is a yellow die. So that's handy. We also get, I'll focus it here. We also get our first Elder Sign, so I'll put that under Nyarlathotep. That's our first one of 11. So we've used the Black Cat for today. I'll bring Jenny back up to the entrance. I'll set this by Jenny's area as a trophy value of 2. Grab a task, but we do need to still spawn a monster. Now the monster can go on here, but I've got a couple places where I can put them already. So this, oh boy, a popular specimen, trophy value of 2. I'll go through the flavor text on the Hedge Maze in a minute. But we have bigger problems. So our 3 tasks here are we need 3 research, then we need 6 research, then we need a peril. If you fail, you lose a health. If we succeed, we get an Elder Sign, but we spawn a monster. Now this arrow is something we hadn't seen on the starting adventures. That means we have to complete them in order. So we have to complete the 3 research, then the 6 research, then a peril. So there's that. But we do need a monster as well. So I'll go ahead and grab that. And we get, oh boy, this is going to be a problem. This thing looks like bad news already. And it is a Wraith. Trophy value of 2. The apparition glared at me, and a sticky glow sputtered from... actually, probably spattered from the hollow space where its eyes should have been. But as we saw briefly, 4 research and we lock both the red and yellow dice. Just like it sounds, it means we can't use those dice. Yowza. Alright, so I'm actually going to spawn that on... I've got 2 places I can put it, but it's going to make both of these adventures a little more difficult. I'm going to put it on... up on the roof just so the entry doesn't go off. Anyway, I've already secured the... I've already locked the red and yellow dice there. So now we'll grab the clock. Move that to 9 o'clock. Now, what I mean by places a monster can go, it means those are places they have to focus on first. So if those are empty, then we have to put a monster there. If they're not, then they can go on other adventures, and they just become additional tasks that we have to complete. So that's how that'll work. Now we'll move back up top so I can take a look at what Ursula is going to be doing this round. Ursula's all the way up here in shot. Now there's a very real temptation to just go try to free the red and yellow dice right away, because the longer those sit locked, the bigger problem we're going to have trying to do anything pretty much in the game. But on the same token, I think we're going to have too big a problem trying to stop this midnight from going off. And there's a place that we can put it, so it's not too bad right now. But so I think we are going to send Ursula to try to free the red and yellow dice. So we'll bring her over here, and then we'll zoom in up on the roof and try to free Ursula and try to get that task completed. And I still have not gone through the flavor text on the Hedge Maze yet, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. So the Hedge Maze. I have walked this maze dozens of times. I could find my way blindfolded. How could I have possibly gotten so lost? Some things are best left undiscovered. Then the flavor text up on the roof. I had thought to gain a moment's respite by ducking outside. Yeah, that didn't work out so well, did it, Ursula? But anyway... let's bring the dice tower in shot. And on the entry, there is a monster already on this adventure, which is part of why I placed the Wraith there. So we'll go ahead and let's get started. Now remember, on the Wraith, we need 4 research to be able to kill that. Okay, never mind. We can't... I was hoping we could clear this task, but we can't. So I'm just going to use the 6 research to go ahead and kill the Wraith. So we won't get that monster trophy back until the end of the adventure. But we also can't use... we also won't be able to use the red and yellow dice until after this adventure is over. So let's proceed. Ugh, that is a pretty bad roll. So actually we're going to use Ursula's starting clue to re-roll all of those dice, just to see if we can get something we can actually use. Yuck. Alright, so we discarded die. I'll focus a peril on Ursula, but here's the problem. I have to roll the terror and the peril right here, or I failed task. Oops, come on. There we go. And I roll nothing. So Ursula will end up losing 1 health and 1 sanity, which is unfortunate. It also sticks her on the... it also makes her stuck there. But we do get 2 trophy tokens. We do get 2 trophies, so there is that as a consolation prize for her. Alright. Now that will do it for us in the first clock phase, or for the first round. So the clock will advance to midnight. I'll reset the minis. We're actually going to keep the sequence with Jenny. We're actually going to loop back to Jenny as our starting investigator. And now we're going to now that it's midnight, the The black cat also refreshes. We'll get clue tokens all around because each investigator without a clue token gains a clue token and nobody has a clue. So I will pass these out to our investigators. Lola, Harvey, Jenny, and Ursula. And we'll move back up top for a new Mythos phase. We're back up top for the Mythos phase. Once more, same reason, we do have a midnight effect, so you become that which you fear most, we have to spawn a monster. And I think for the same reasoning, as long as it's not too difficult, I'm probably going to put it right back on up on the roof. Let's see what we've got. Oh dear. Yowza. Alright, so that's an Ancient Yeti with a trophy value of 3. What's the flavor text? Amount of snow before me moved, and I realized that I had stumbled into my death. Yeah, this could go very badly in a hurry. So we see we need 2 rolls of either a lore or a terror or a peril, but we also have to lose 2 health, which it's not horrible, but I think I am going to put it here just so we don't have the entry go up and give us something even more dangerous. But anyway, that will do it for the at midnight. Now let's get into the Mythos phase itself. So, strange sights. A monster appears amid the stillness. There is no lingering effect today. So we have to spawn another monster. We get occultists. These are nice and easy to deal with. Hang on. Alright, there's our cultist. You see we need either a lore or a peril. Trophy value of 1. He ran toward me, shouting in a long dead language. So we'll spawn that on that you become that which you fear most. Okay, so we definitely need to clear that in a hurry. But anyway, we're into a new round. Jenny is once again going to be our start investigator. But I'm actually going to lead the round off by discarding her gate box to put our first Otherworld adventure in play. So we'll give this a shuffle. Just to open up, this is just to open up our options a little bit. And to cut. And let's see what we're getting for our first Otherworld adventure. The Abyss. Oh boy. Yeah. We have... Looks like we need a skull. We need a terror and a peril in 1 roll. Then 2 lore and a skull in 1 roll. And a peril. Just to make matters worse, the skull and the peril has a monster task. It is a place where a monster task can go to cover that up. If we fail, we lose 2 sanity and a stamina, but if we succeed, we get 2 elder signs, a spell, and a unique item. So that is a consideration, because we definitely do need elder signs. We're not in a terrible spot for elder signs right now. We're not in a terrible spot, but I definitely would like to get ahead. I'd rather be playing from ahead on elder signs than playing from behind. So, what to do. I think what we're going to do is before the Abyss becomes even more dangerous, I think we're going to bring Jenny down here to it. So we'll just go ahead and try to clear this right off the bat. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the Abyss. Alright, Alright, here we are with Jenny in the Abyss. Let's go ahead and take a look at the flavor text on here. I'll actually remember this time. The Abyss. In the darkness between worlds, between dimensions, it was there that my quest nearly ended. Horrid things of nightmare clutched by me, unseen since they, thankfully, shied away from my lantern. Could be like the Sea of Pitch or pretty much anywhere else that these four have ventured to in the last couple of months. But anyway, we'll bring the dice tower back in shot. Grab dice, and actually we're going to pitch the Molotov cocktail to Jenny's trust fund. So we're going to give her the red and yellow dice for free as well. So I think we're going to need everything we can get our hands on for this adventure. Okay, I'm actually pretty happy with that result. So we'll take the 2 lore and the peril, and we'll complete that first task. Now we need the skull, and now we need the peril and the terror, and we've got all kinds of ways we can get it. That was easy. So we've got the skull, we've got the peril, and the terror. So Jenny has cleared the Abyss. So that brings her trophy value up to 4. That gives her a spell. Her new spell is Inner Beast. Discard after you roll to change any number of results to skulls. And we don't have anything that takes too many skulls right now, except for that up on the roof, that monster task for Ursula. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. That link starts to linger for a little while. Jenny also gets a unique item coming out of that. We get Enchanted Arrow. After any investigator rolls dice, discard to defeat a monster. If it has a lore requirement, also draw 1 spell. Which unfortunately Ursula's does not, but we can definitely keep an eye on that. But we can definitely keep an eye on that for any monsters that might come up. And we also get 2 more Elder Signs, bringing us up to 3. So that is very phenomenal work from Jenny. So we'll add that to her trophy pile. So that's on her trophy pile. Jenny will move back up to the entrance. And then in her clock phase, we'll advance to 3 o'clock. That will do it for Jenny. Now let's go pay Ursula a visit. Here we are with Ursula. I'm zooming in on Ursula because I think she's going to stay at this adventure this turn. She's going to stay up on the roof, and we're going to try to clear it. So, mostly, well, we definitely need the Elder Sign for sure. So we'll go ahead and give this a go. Oops, we had 1 fallout. Although I definitely like the result there. Not that it's going to change anything, because we are definitely going to take the 1 of each symbol task, which I would not be surprised at all if this is the same task that we used when we had Lola, as a reference task. But so now we're in a pretty good situation. This is going to hurt to clear, but should be a little easier to do now that we got 2 good spaces on these dice. That will work. So we'll take the 2 peril, and Ursula will take 2 damage to bring her down to 3, and 3. Her trophy count goes up to 4. We retreat Doom by 1, which is very handy. So that comes off. She gets a spell, which here are the spells. She gets Revelation of Script, which is just another Secura die. We get another Elder Sign, which brings us up to 4. Actually, she gets this as a trophy as well, so her trophy count is actually up to 7 right now, because she has 2 monsters. She has 2 monsters and now the adventure. So we'll bring that over to Ursula. We'll bring her to the entrance as well. We also need a monster, but again, it can go on here if we draw something. The Boiler Room. Trophy value of 2. Need 4 research and a terror, and a peril and a terror. If you fail, you lose 1 and 1. If you succeed, retreat doomed by 1, Elder Sign, and a spell. So, we have to figure out where we're putting this monster. If we get a formless spawn, this can't be good. Malignant ooze poured forth from the cracks in the ice and took on a form without form. Okay, this isn't going to eat any dice in the sense of we're going to need to roll a hard task. It's just going to eat 2 sanity. So where do we want to put that? I think we'll put that on... Well, we'll put that on the Boiler Room. So it does lock the red and yellow dice. Anyway, that will do it for Ursula. Now let's move back. Actually, we're going to stay in shot because I think Lola is just going to come right here. So this is our first look at Lola in Elder Sign. Now for her ability, once per turn, we're not going to discard her skill because I really like her medical training. But we are going to take a look at the bottom card on the skill deck. So let's see what's on the bottom. Affluence. Each time you draw 1 or more unique items after setup, draw 1 additional unique item. Choose 1 to discard and keep the others. Discard at any time to draw 1 unique item. So that's what's on the bottom of the skill deck right now. Anyway, coming back to this, we'll bring Lola, bring the dice tower in shot. Start off with our 6 green dice. So now that task actually gives us an option of if we don't clear anything, we can spend the 2 sanity, clear that, and we don't have to roll, and we don't have to discard a die. So that's basically like a free roll, is kind of the way I'm looking at it. Which we are going to have to use immediately, unfortunately, so actually we will go ahead and clear that. She won't get that back until the adventure. I'm just going to move that off of there to signify that it's been cleared. Alright, so she's going to actually discard her whiskey to prevent 1 of those sanity from being lost. So she'll go down to 5 sanity. That will go in the discard pile. And then Lola will roll again. And then we do have a clue as well if we need another free roll, which we might use here. Actually, yeah, we will use that. We will spend the clue to get a free roll, or free re-roll. I'm going to keep the skull and the 3, just because I want to have my options as open as I can get them. Because if I roll a terror and another... If I roll a terror or another research, I can clear 1 of those. And actually I didn't roll anything I could use, which is unfortunate. So I do have to discard the lore. I'm going to focus the 3 on Lola. This might be another instance, and I did forget to advance the clock to 6 o'clock. I did that off camera. This might be where we need the black cat this round. Okay, there's a skull and there's a peril and a terror, so we'll use that. And then here, if we don't clear this, I probably am going to use the black cat. Never mind, black cat is still available for Harvey's turn. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and the terror, so that's finally cleared. Lola gets the monster trophy, which as we saw, had a trophy value of 2, so that brings her up to... So this is actually going to bring her up to a total of 4 trophies. But we also retreat Doom by 1, which puts us up to 0. That is a beautiful thing. So we essentially we've reset the board. We've reset Nyarlathotep from that horrendous Mythos card that Jenny and Ursula drew trying to free Lola and Harvey. Alright, we also get a spell for that trouble. Lola will get... Reach of the Mind. Discard during another investigator's turn to allow him or her to reroll any number of dice. So this isn't something I can use for Lola, but it's something I can use anywhere else. So if I have a particularly dangerous task, we can use that. So that'll move over to Lola. We also get our 5th Elder Sign. So this game just completely turned around. So there's our 5th Elder Sign. Lola will go back up to the entrance. And then for the replacement adventure, we get Midnight Visitor, trophy value of 2. On a terror, lose a stamina. Need 2 perils in 1 roll. Then you need a peril, a terror. Actually, that's peril. You need a peril, a terror, and lose 1 health. If you fail, you lose 2 health and put a doom on advanced doom by 1. If you succeed, you get a common item, a unique item, and a clue. So that will do for Lola. I'm not sure what I'm doing with Harvey, actually. So let's move back up top for a minute. Anything that takes health away from Harvey is a no-no plan, since he only has 3 health to play with. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to bring him down to the missing records. I'm going to bring him down here. So we'll bring Harvey down here. Then we'll zoom in on the missing records. Actually, before we do that, we're going to go through the flavor text on the boiler room. I'm trying to get better about this, but... The boiler room. Strange shades formed in the flickering light, and a chill ran down my back. So now that we're done with that, now we'll zoom in on the missing records. Here we are with Harvey at the missing records. Trophy value of 1. We'll take a quick look at the flavor text. Unbelievable! The fact that someone had tried to hide this ledger proves that this horrid collection of cursed relics was gathered in full knowledge of their terrible significance. We need 6 research in 1 roll, or a lore and a lore and 3 research in 1 roll. If we fail, we lose a stamina. If we succeed, we get 2 clues. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. See what we have happen. As we have 1 fall out. I'm not very happy with that result, for sure. That result I'm a lot happier with. I did have 1 fall out, and I usually try to send them through the tray, or the tower. So we'll take the lore and the 3, and then we'll give these another roll. Alright, there's a 3, so rather than get cute with this, I'm actually going to call in the black cat. We'll take the 1, change it to a 3, and we've completed this task. So Harvey will get 2 clues out of that. There are his 2 clues. He'll go up to a trophy value of 1. Black Cat's been used for the day, but that's not going to matter for too much longer. And let's see what we draw as a replacement adventure. We draw Gate to Elsewhere. This is one where we need a bunch of lore on it. If we fail, we advance Doom by 1. If we succeed, 2 clues and another world adventure. Excuse me. So that's probably going to be something we're going to look into. That might actually be a good one for Harvey to take a shot at now that I look at it, but change a die to a lore result. Okay. But anyway, that will do it for the clock phase, or for the resolution phase. Clock phase for Harvey. The clock advances to midnight, so we will move up top for the Mythos phase. Alright, we're back up top of the Mythos phase, but we have to start with our At Midnight on here. So we got a monster first. Alright, what do we get? We get a Chthonian. In the Arkham files, this is not a monster you're going to like seeing, most likely. The floor burst open, revealing a colossal mass of tentacles. And yeah, we definitely don't like seeing this. 7 research, advance the clock, and lose a health. Yuck. And unfortunately, we do have one spot where we can put it, right over top of the gate to elsewhere. So, yeah, I think this round we probably should try to clear out this you become that which you fear most. But I'm getting ahead of myself because we need a card from the Deck of Doom. We start off with, oh dear. The stars align, add 1 Doom to the Doom track, and science departs. Common items and clue tokens can't be used today. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Alright, so we put a Doom up on the track, which is actually going to spawn us another monster, because we retreated from 1. If you retreat Doom and advance back to it, those effects actually repeat. So you do have to be careful with that. But we do get another monster because we advanced back to 1 Doom. Ooh. This is actually a task rather than a monster. So this will actually have a task on the back. Come on. The Light of Reason. You may fulfill this mission to gain 6 clues. Unlike on the monster trophies that we've seen have a trophy value, this is the number of trophies that you have to spend to be able to fulfill the mission. Oh no. We lock a green die, and it needs 1 clue, or 1 research, and a lore. So where do we want to put this that we're going to have to clear this very quickly? I think we're going to put it on the graveyard. We're going to put it there, but because it's lacking a green die, we need to clear that very quickly. Unfortunately, we're going to need that green die to come down here and clear this gate to elsewhere. We also need that green die to deal with that, most likely. So I think I just figured out what Jenny's turn is going to be. So I think Jenny's turn is going to be to go up to the graveyard. So we're going to bring her down here, and then we'll zoom in on Miss Barnes. We're back over here with Jenny. I did remember to refresh the Black Cat off camera because I'm almost certain we're going to need him this turn. So, we'll go ahead and bring the Dice Tower in shot. I'm actually going to pitch her Enchant Weapon to her Trust Fund ability to give her the red and yellow dice for free. We'll put those in. Actually, better idea than that, since I can't use them today anyway. I'd rather have the spell available. I'll just dump the clue. Now, the priority in this turn is getting that task clear, so I can get the green die free for later, because I don't want that lingering so long. I don't want that lingering locked for long. Alright, at the end of the turn, that green die will be unlocked. So we'll put those there. Now, I don't think I have a chance of clearing this task, most likely. Actually, I might. Might be one way I can get it clear, but it's gonna be a long shot, I think. Okay, we're actually making a little bit of progress. So a skull there. So we get a peril. A terror. We might actually pull this off, but I don't want to get ahead of myself on that. Two, one. We actually have one more chance at this, so I'm going to pitch the green die. Actually, we might still have a chance at this. But actually, you know what? I just saw something. We're going to discard Reach of the Mind from Lola during another investigator's turn to let Jenny re-roll these 3 dice. See if we can get lucky on that. We do not get lucky on that. So I will discard the green die. And then here we go. We got one last shot at this. Okay, actually, no, this works. Because Ursula has the Prism of Vision that she started with, that after a roll, discard to change a die to its highest investigation result. You may use this item on any investigator's turn. So we're going to use it here to change that yellow into a 4, and then the wild card will act as a 4 as well, and Jenny has cleared this adventure. So the green die gets released. She gets this, which, remember, we have to spend 5 trophies to be able to gain 6 clues, which is actually might not be a terrible idea. Jenny will go back to the entrance. Then she'll get the clue back that she dropped into her trust fund. We'll get her a unique item. She gets, oh my, the Sword of Glory. Plus that gets us both the yellow and red dice. So that will be very, very handy. And we get another old adventure in place. So I'll move that over to Jenny's play area, put her up to 5 trophies. So our new Otherworld adventure. Ooh, Relay. Trophy value of 2. Need 2 separate instances of 1 research, then 2 lore, a peril, and a terror. If you fail, you lose 2 health and 2 sanity. A success gets you an ally and 3 elder signs. So I'll actually put that down in the Otherworld adventures area. But now we get a new museum adventure, which gives us the loading dock. On a terror, discard all dice showing terror results. You need a peril, and then a peril and 3 research. If you fail, you lose 1 and 1. If you succeed, you get a common item. So that's all that is. Not too terrible. But anyway, that will do it for Jenny. Let's move up top to decide what Ursula is doing. We're back up top with Ursula. Now, I did remember to advance the clock in Jenny's clock phase. And in fact, I'm actually going to remember to use her Trailblazer ability that once per day at the start of any investigator's turn, so we're going to use it for Ursula. We're going to look at the top 2 cards of the adventure deck. 1 goes to the bottom and 1 stays on top. So let's take a look at what we've got coming up. So our first adventure is Unnatural Habitat. Terror loses sanity. Monster place. 2 peril and 3 research. If you fail, you lose a health. If you succeed, get a spell. And Lingering Curse. Terror. Lose sanity and stamina until you have 1 of each remaining. Ugh. 3 research, 2 lore and a peril in 1 roll. If you fail, you lose 1 and 1. If you succeed, 2 unique items and a spell. I'm going to put this back on top, especially with the trophy value of 4. And then the Unnatural Habitat will move to the bottom. And then where do I want to send Ursula this round? She's not terribly busted up. We actually have 5 Elder Signs to 1 Doom, so we're a little less than halfway home compared to miles away from, well, I say miles, but closer than I would like to waking Nyarlathotep up. But I think I'm actually going to bring Ursula down to you become that which you fear most, and try my damnedest to get rid of that. I don't know how well this is going to end, but we will find out. So yeah, we'll go ahead and bring Ursula down here. And we'll zoom in on that. Here's Ursula. Realistically, what I'm expecting to happen on this task is she's probably going to fail, and we're going to need a little bit of help to clear this out. So whether it's the black cat or somebody else coming in to try to clear it. But anyway, let's go ahead and give this a go. This thing has been causing us a lot of problems. We're able to keep the monsters mostly under control, but I'd rather stop them from spawning at all if we can. So let's see what we can do about that, shall we? Oh my. Okay, I think I normally wouldn't use the black cat this early, but I think I'm going to. So I'm actually going to take this 2, change it to a terror, and we're going to clear that task. This thing has been causing us way too many problems, so I want to try to clear it if I can. So we're going to go ahead and use the black cat to clear that, which means now we need a lore or a peril, and we can kill the cultist and get this adventure off the board. That will do it. So that adventure is clear, which means Ursula gets the cultist as a trophy value of 1. So that brings her up to, that's actually going to bring her up to 10 trophies, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So she gets a clue, a unique item, which gives her an alien statue, which gives her a red die. That could come in very handy. Put it by her play area. There we are. That also gives us our 6th Elder Sign. Whoop, as I drop it. There's our 6th Elder Sign, which we'll put under Nyarlathotep. So we are now a little over halfway home. But we also spawn a monster. But more importantly, 2, 6, 7, 8... Yep, Ursula is actually at 10 monster trophies. So, if we remember from the entrance, and I'll actually move Ursula back there. If we remember from the entrance, we have an Elder... That'll give us an Elder Sign in the bag. So we're at effectively 7 Elder Signs if I want to have Ursula sit a turn out, which I might. As we remember what we're putting down here... This was the adventure we scried to the top with Ursula, with her Trailblazer. So that will do it for Ursula. Now what do I want to have Lola do? That is a good question. Looking at the board right now... Actually, let's go ahead, we'll move back up top. Take a look at said board. Once again, yes, I suck at the clock. So Lola's medical training is actually going to cause Ursula to regain a sanity and go up to, or stamina and go up to 4 stamina. So that's very welcome. And yes, I did mention the clock. I reset that to 6 o'clock. I moved that to 6 o'clock. So everything's good to go there. Now looking at Lola, we're at 6 Elder Signs to 1 Doom on Nyarlathotep. I am very tempted to start looking at, okay, how do we close this game out? Unfortunately, I think she's going to have a hard time doing anything to contribute to that. So I think right now we just do a little bit more setup. I'll bring her down to Lingering Curse. See if we can get a little more firepower out of this. Then we'll zoom in on that and take a look at how Lola goes on. Here we are with Lola. Before I go into that, we'll go through Ursula's adventure. You become that which you fear most, the flavor text. The sickness and the fear have become so ingrained in me that I can no longer imagine a life without unending dread. Let's hope we don't have that happening. We came way too close to having that happen, but anyway. Now let's take a look at the flavor text on Lola's adventure for the turn. I had been so naive, but how could I have known the horror that I was unleashing? And remember, we have that terror that we need to keep an eye on. We'll probably bring Harvey down to help her out with that. But, once again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's bring the dice tower in shot. We'll start off with her 6 green dice. Hopefully we'll have nothing too crazy happen on this, because the terror effect is devastating. So we do need to have very careful eyes on that. Fortunately, Lola is mostly in a good way here. You can always double back to the entrance if you need to. Okay, so there's a terror, but we can actually clear a task, so the terror effect will not go off. We can complete it. Unfortunately, do we have... You know what? I actually have an even better idea than doing that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to discard the hermetic texts from Harvey, because we can do that on any investigator's turn. And then just as a middle finger to the game, we're going to change the terror to a lore. And we'll go ahead and clear that task. So that's 1 down. Now we just need the 3 research. And I like our chances of getting that. Come on, Lola. Neat as you please. So there's our 3 research, which means the terror effect does not go off. So that gives Lola 2 unique... We'll give her the spell first and then the 2 unique items. So the spell she gets is... Find Gate. Discard to draw an Otherworld card and place it below the 6 adventure cards. So that'll just give us another Otherworld adventure, similar to Gatebox that we had earlier in the game. And then for her 2 unique items, first up Lola gets Tika Halo. After a roll, discard to change a die to a terror result. You may use this item on any investigator's turn. And Necronomicon. Plus, give her the red die. After using this card, you gain a clue token. So that'll be very handy to have as well. Then those 4 trophies will move over, bringing Lola up to a trophy value of 8. We'll move Lola back to the entrance. Refill the adventure, so we find the storage closet. It's an ordered adventure. 3 research, which also has a spot for a monster task to go. Then 3 research, then 2 lore and separate rolls. If you fail, you advance doom by 1 and lose a sanity. If you pass, you get a clue, a unique item, and another Otherworld adventure. So that will do it for Lola. We'll move into her clock phase and advance to 9 o'clock. And now we're over to Harvey's turn. But I don't really know right away. I don't know yet what Harvey's doing. So yeah, I don't think we have too much that we're in peril with right now. You know what? Actually, I think we're going to bring Harvey right back down to the storage closet. So let's go ahead and do that. See if we can't get another Otherworld adventure in play. And before this task gets to be much more horrendous, because we've got a special ability that if we roll a terror on the bottom task on there, we can change that to a lore. So let's see how we do here. But remember, we have to start with the 3, which I can clear. All right, so we need another 3. Which that is not, unfortunately. So I have to clear that, or I have to discard one of those. Yeah. I think we'll just do that. Okay, there's the 3 research. And now we have to roll a scroll. On these last 2 green dice, we have 2 good symbols. One of them has to be a lore. Ideally, they're both lores, but we can work with a lore and a terror. Unfortunately, we cannot work with a 2 research, so Harvey will fail, which means we'll advance Doom by 1, and he'll lose a sanity. So that brings him down to 6 sanity, which actually is not terrible in the grand scheme of things. But in his clock phase, we're going to advance to midnight, and then we'll move back up top for the Mythos phase. We're back up top for the Mythos phase. Checking the board, I don't see any at midnight effects. But let's see what the Mythos card gives us this turn. The stars align. Add 1 Doom token to the Doom track to bring madness. All adventure cards have an additional sanity penalty today. So what that means is every adventure now loses an additional sanity. So if you didn't lose once previously, you would lose 1. And then if you did, you'd lose 2 now. So, all right, we got a Doom token. Put that up. We are covering a monster token with that, so we're up to 3 Doom, but we do cover a monster task, so we have to spawn a monster. We have 2 places we can put it. We can either put it on Harvey where's my laser pointer? There you are. We can either put it on Harvey in the storage closet or in Relay. If we don't get something too terribly bad, I might cover up Relay with it, because that's where I'm planning on sending Jenny this turn, barring anything crazy. But we'll have to see what we pull out of the bag. Alright, let's see what we've got. We have... oh boy. Oh, what is this? The... Nofke. Trophy value of 1. Let me zoom in, see if I can get the flavor text here. Focus. There we go. Monster servants of inbound gods. They hounded us throughout our journey. Unfortunately, we do lock a green die, and we lose 1 health to deal with it. So where do I want to put this? Actually, this is probably not dangerous enough to... This probably isn't dangerous enough. Actually, this might help us if I put it over Relay, because it'll essentially amount to the same thing. It'll essentially amount to us losing a die, so it's not actually that hazardous in the grand scheme of things. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So we are at 6 Elder Signs right now to 3 Doom. I think now we're probably in a position where we can start looking into closing this game out. And I think Jenny will start us off, and she's going on an adventure to Relay. So we'll bring her down here. Then we'll zoom in on Relay and see about clearing that. Alright, Jenny. 3 Elder Signs is not quite the game. It's most of the way to it, though. So let's go ahead and take a look at Relay's flavor text real quick. We'll zoom in on that. The island had risen from the ocean, and I, fool that I was, decided to explore it. Never have I regretted a course of action so greatly in my life. Alright, so we'll zoom back out to get the dice tray back in shot. Now remember, this is one where we had to put a monster over the top of it. So, given the importance of this adventure, I'm going to throw most everything I've got into this. So, we're going to discard Sword of Glory to give her both the red and yellow dice for free. And I'm probably going to be sending the Black Cat down to help as well. I don't know how yet, but I'm probably going to. Let's see, two lore apparel, and I think the black cat comes in and changes one of these dice. He's going to change that to a terror, and we'll give that bottom task a good clear. So we've used the black cat this round. Now we just need one research, and we're going to have to lose one health. That will do it. So Jenny will lose a health. And we have cleared that. So we got her first ally. So we got our first ally of the game. Let's see who we draw. Roald Amundsen. When any investigator spends trophies, place one sanity token on Roald Amundsen to reduce the number of trophies he needs to spend by 3 to a minimum of 1. Discard this card when there are 3 tokens on it. I think that actually just seals the game for us, because that's when any investigator spends trophies. So yeah, I think the game is just over at this point. Anyway, there are 3 elder signs. Come on. That will bring us up to 9 elder signs on Nyarlathotep. And Jenny's trophy count will actually go up 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 trophies. Jenny's up to 8 trophies. We will bring her back up to the entrance. Then for her clock phase, we're going to advance to 3 o'clock. And then we'll move back up to the entrance where Ursula is waiting. Here we are with Ursula. I was already planning to leave her at the entrance this turn. We were going to start setting the table on ending the game. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to buy a souvenir. We're actually going to leave Ursula at the entrance this round, and we're going to buy a souvenir. So we're going to be spending trophies, but because of our ally, when an investigator spends trophies, place a sanity token on, so Jenny's new ally, there's the sanity that we're going to put on Roald to reduce the number of trophies by 3. So we're going to spend 7 trophies, there's our 7, to buy, I'll put those back in the bag, which I put right here. We'll use those to buy, Ursula will use those to buy our 10th Elder Sign. So there's that, and remember, we need 11 to defeat Nyarlathotep. So, but first we have to go through the clock phase into 6 o'clock. And then it's Lola, actually we'll flip Ursula over. Then Lola's turn, no bonus points for what we're doing. We're going to put another sanity on Roald Amundsen. We're going to spend her trophies, so Ursula was down to 3, not that it matters. But anyway, Lola is going to spend her 7 trophies. Unfortunately, we have to spend the 8. We have to spend all 8, but we don't get a single back and change. But that will give us our 11th Elder Sign, which is what we needed against Nyarlathotep. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Yep. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and move back up top, and we'll wrap this game up. Alright, we're back up top. As I mentioned, we have won against Nyarlathotep. So, we've got a little narrative story text to set that. After everything the 4 of them went through, the investigators were not going to be denied. Lola and Harvey descending the 770 steps of slumber into the Dreamlands, later searching for Kadath, and their first encounter with Nyarlathotep. Jenny and Ursula forcing their way into the Dreamlands, being betrayed by Randolph Carter, and defeating Atlach Naka. They finished the protective ritual that would finally drive Nyarlathotep away. Nyarlathotep fought the ritual as long as he could, but the magic finally took hold. "You haven't seen the last of me," Nyarlathotep hissed as he lost his hold on Arkham and the rest of the world. "I will have your world." With that, Nyarlathotep finally vanished. The fatigue that had coursed through the investigators finally overwhelmed them once the adrenaline of battling Nyarlathotep subsided. The Black Cat approached the investigators in their exhaustion. "Our worlds are safe now," the Black Cat said, "but Nyarlathotep will be back. Take this time to rest now. Your world, and possibly mine, will need you again." With that, the Black Cat vanished back into the Dreamlands. That will do it for this play of Elder Sign. Next week, we're going to step away from the Arkham Files, but not away from the Cthulhu mythos. We're going to play a little Call of Cthulhu next week, which is a tabletop art role-playing game from Chaosium Incorporated. And we're going to do Alone Against the Frost next week, which is one of the solo adventures. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure to also turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.